the goal was to become excellent in something that you were good at or wired for. And how much does it matter if our, like an editor can do math? I mean, she needs, an editor needs to have enough math we need functional math for lifestyle, everyday living, but they don't need to be able to do algebra 2 to be able to be an editor at a book editor, a newspaper or something. And then on the same kind of end, do we really care if our doctor can remember Shakespeare or things like that? If they have an interest, that's great, but I want them to be excellent at what they do. And we have pushed this idea of everybody needs to have a liberal arts experience from kindergarten through ever.
This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals.
That's right.
Mostly.
All right, there you go. You heard what the man said. This is the podcast you're listening to. My name is Jim McCarthy with itsyourshow.co, where we produce all sorts of podcasts like this. I don't know why I'm kind of sounding like Bill Clinton and Donald Trump, but that's just what I'm doing. It's coming to you from the Christian Brothers Automotive of Spring Hill Studios, powered by Muletown Bikes. Now, do you judge me because I use an e-bike to get exercise? Bring that microphone a little closer. Bring it right on up.
How's that?
That's good. Probably should have told you that before we started. A lot of people kind of, like, how do you get exercise on an e-bike? Dude, it's possible. You do an hour and 15 on that thing after 10, 15 miles.
Do you feel it like mostly in your core, just having to stay stable?
No, you're out of breath. You get the cardio aspect of it. I don't know. I enjoy it.
It's fun. It's funny after we had talked about like the e-bike gangs that you were telling me about, the kids. I that day saw one.
And I'd never seen gang?
One. Yeah, that was like, they were like 3 10-year-olds on their e-bikes in this subdivision.
Do you have an issue with that though?
It doesn't, not to me, not at all. As long as they're not, causing disruption to the neighborhood, I'd like to see kids out. Well,
that's the thing is that they're either going to be on tablets or they're out riding the bike. Yeah. And I get it. They can be a pain in the butt. They don't know traffic rules. And we have a little bit of an epidemic of kids like darting out in the traffic and getting a little big for their britches. But it just takes one accident, one brutal mutilation that, sets them straight.
Right. It's not like kids from our generations, ever overstepped and gotten an accident from being a little bit too brave.
Totally. So. Yeah. BMX bikes. I mean, I ran a BMX bike into a garage door once. Didn't understand the nature of physics. We put a ramp in a driveway in my neighborhood. Neighbor's a good friend of mine. And just like, he'd build ramps out of wood and bricks and stuff like that. So we thought that I'd be able to jump off this ramp, have 5 feet before the garage door, and then have the ability to land and then slow down and turn around and all in 5 feet. No, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And of course, me being the oldest, I had to test it. And the garage door had glass windows in it. So naturally, when I hit it, one of the windows shattered and fell all over my face. I looked like a war victim.
Yeah. My husband tells this story from when he was in high school, where he lived in San Diego. They had this one street that if you hit it at enough, high enough velocity, you would launch pretty predictably, kind of like you'd see in the old movies in San Francisco of them launching down the roads. And so he laid in the road with a video camera and videoed his friend launching over him with a car.
Like in the movies.
Yeah, like in the movies. And he totally was like, it never even occurred to him that he might get run over.
How many times does that happen when you look back at stuff that maybe your parents did with you? And then, or maybe you did as a kid and realize we never thought about that aspect. No. Like my father was a big fisherman and we had a boat growing up and everything. And he would take us out offshore in the ocean, sometimes 35 miles out. You couldn't see land. And a friend of mine recently, I was telling him the story about all the fishing. He goes, wait a minute. How many engines did you have? I said, we just had one. He goes, you didn't have redundancy? I go, no, now you think of it, no, we didn't. If that engine went out, we'd be screwed.
Yeah. I grew up in this very small town called Prairie, Idaho. Population, I think, was about 150 at the time, and solid hour from anything else that resembled a town. And my friends and I would bike over to their house, or in the winter, we had a snowmobile, and I would snowmobile to their house. And then we would go out like hiking out into the woods or the mountains, or we'd go down to the creek, and we would be gone for 8, 10 hours.
Yeah.
And I was thinking like, it never didn't occur to anybody's parents that they needed to check in on us. I think everyone just assumed if we didn't come back, they would come looking. Like it was just, we just got to explore, and mostly nobody ever got hurt. But
I mean, it was a latchkey kid generation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
My parents would let us out, and I think there was a level of faith that everyone would watch each other's backs.
Mm-hmm.
If something, nasty happened or something underhanded, and we had the stranger danger notion back then. Actually, it was a green Volkswagen when I was in elementary school. That was what the cops were on the lookout for. So anybody driving a green Volkswagen was suspect. And it's like, for anybody, it's like completely innocent. I apologize to you, because everybody was like the pedophile driving the green Volkswagen. It could have been a Jetta. It could have been a Bug. Didn't matter. Nobody specified the model. It was just a green Volkswagen.
Right.
And nobody cared. So, I mean, we used to you ever build the tree forts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Rickety wood pieces that you just find somewhere, and that looks good. Let's just, nestle it against that branch and, kind of wedge it against this one and put our full body weight on it. And, maybe it falls, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah, we used to have up there was all this lava rock in certain areas because it had a volcano at some point in history. And you could climb through the rock. There would be like tubes and caves and things that you could climb through. And we'd be 20, 30 feet underground climbing through these caves. And
oh my gosh.
I mean, as a parent now, I think I'm not that brave with my own children. I want them to have that independence and self-assuredness, but I'm so much more cautious. And it's not like my parents didn't care. They just, I don't know. It just didn't occur to them to worry.
Yeah. What a great time to grow up, man.
It was great. I love it. I try to bring in as much of that as I can for my kids, but you almost have to battle the world. Like our culture doesn't really want it to be allowed. And so I'm always kind of having to fight against it.
Well, especially when you see the people on Facebook complaining about the kids on the e-bikes. It's, you're probably saying what a lot of people are thinking, but without the temperament of, well, at least they're outside.
Right.
They're hanging out with each other just like we used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Who are we to judge? Our bikes just weren't motorized.
Right.
And they can do, some of these kids are doing 35 miles an hour down the road. Could you do it on a BMX bike? Sure. Going downhill. Yeah. And we did. I mean, it was some of the dumbest things we've ever done,
Yeah.
But then we got motorized vehicles when I was 13, 14. My father got us a dirt bike, my brother and I, because he was a motorcycle guy growing up. And his theory was that if I get this for you now and you're riding in the meadow next to the house, because we lived next to a giant farm and, it was city owned. They didn't like motorized vehicles, but we went in there anyway. And, that bike taught a lot. Like it really did get it out of my system. I have no desire to have a road bike. And it also taught me how to do manual shift, clutch shift.
Such a good skill.
Totally.
My very first truck was a manual, and I drove that for like 10 years, and I loved that thing. So when my son got his first vehicle, we searched long and hard to get him a little pickup truck with a manual so he could learn, because not a lot of people can drive them anymore.
What kind of pickup truck was it that you had?
Mine, it was just a Toyota pickup truck. It didn't even have like a model. It was just like I think it was a 92.
Did you take off the letters in the back so it said yo?
No, did not.
I saw that a lot.
It was a great truck. It was super, super basic. No AC, no power, anything. But it 4-wheel drive, and it ran like a champ for, I think I drove it almost 13, 15 years, and I wasn't the first owner.
It's a Toyota.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. It was like an old, you say it was a Tacoma?
No, it didn't have a model. It just literally is Toyota pickup was what was on it. Like it was
just category, slap the category on it. So here we are. We've been trying to get this scheduled for quite some time. Tell me about your professional background. Like, what did you start out doing? What was the dream? Is this the dream, what you're doing now? What was college like? What was high school like? Start at high school. You went to Idaho. You went to Idaho's high school?
Yes.
What were your interests back then? What did you want to be?
When I was in high school, interest was science. I loved science, my science classes. I was a terrible nerd. I loved all my classes. I loved getting perfect grades. I mean, that was my obsession, was academics. I had a lot of hobbies. I played sports. I played softball. I rode horses, was in a drill team, but I wanted to go to college. And I initially thought I wanted to be a doctor. But that was sort of just like a general idea of, I got to take lots of science classes, and that sounds like a good profession,
right.
More than anything. So I ended up actually graduating 2 years early. So I started college at 16, and that was one of the, in a lot of ways, it was a really good decision for me. I didn't fit in well in high school. I was always a little bit too just logical for my own good. And so I didn't mesh well with the high schoolers, but at college, I was totally my jam, I guess. And I spent one semester thinking I'd be pre-med. And then I was like, you know what? I love the chemistry. I'm going to switch to being a chemistry major. And that's what I did from there out. And my plan with that was that I was going to be a college professor and teach at like a small private college, because that's what I was going to. And I liked the environment and I liked to teach. And then I could just do chemistry for the rest of my days. And so after undergraduate, I went to Texas A&M to get my graduate degree in chemistry. I was in a doctoral program down there. And about 3 years into that, I met the man that was going to be my husband, and we got married. And to say, like, you know, your values and interests shift. Mm-hmm. I knew that I had probably 4 more years left to get my doctorate. It's a very, very demanding to do those kinds of programs. It's all encompassing. They have lots of phrases they like to say, like, if you have time to do anything, you have time to be in the lab. It's very research based, very, very heavy, time consuming. We had one professor that said he doesn't hire nesters, things like that. Because so they don't promote having any kind of work-life balance, or like your intention is to go as long and hard as you can for 7 years to the point of burnout is really how it is.
We're gonna train you so hard, but by the time you get out of here, you're not going to have any interest in doing any of this.
Exactly. There's no life outside of this. And I saw a lot of the struggles with my peers. A lot of people just struggled with it because it's very demanding. And although I loved what I was doing and I loved what I was learning and I had a great advisor, I just, once I had my husband, I wanted time with my, I wanted to start a family. I wanted to be able to have a life, and I didn't want to have to wait 4 years to start that.
Right.
So I got my master's because I was already overqualified for a master's. So that was kind of a quick exit with a master's. So I didn't have nothing to show for the time. And I worked for a while in that field. I taught at a couple of community colleges. I worked there at A&M in their organic teaching lab for a while, just different things. But along the way, we ended up starting, a window washing business. And when we moved here to Tennessee, we grew that into a window washing, pressure washing, full-time empire. Exactly. Yeah. That's the plan, is the empire. And so in some ways I would say it was not the dream, but if I'm really honest, a big part of the dream for me was the family. Yeah. Like I told my husband when we were dating on our very first date, I told him that I wanted a large family, and that was a non-negotiable for me. And he said, sure. What do you mean by large? It was very wise of him to ask that. And I said, I wanted a baseball team. I wanted 9 kids. That had to be at least a possibility. And he said, okay. So that was a big part of our journey here. So what I love about what we do is it gives me the ability to curate our life, our work around our family. So we get to coordinate how we spend our time, what we do. Running a small business is a lot of work, and it takes up a lot of time. Like my dad was a contractor, and he used to say that, when you have your own business, you get to work half days, and you even get to decide which 12 hours that is.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what I think of. Like, it is long hours. It's way more than a 9 to 5, but I'm so much more in control of it. And that gives us a lot of flexibility with our family, which is what's the most important to me. Well,
yeah. And it's, you're building something for yourself, which makes the hours more palatable.
Yes.
And especially if you there's hopefully an element of enjoyment. Because when you're enjoying what you're doing, it doesn't seem like work.
Exactly.
Doing what I do, this is just, putting podcasts together, producing them, talking to people about them, helping them with them. that's my superpower. That's just what I'm good at, you know? And I knew that getting into radio right off the bat once I sat in the production studio, and it was like, this is my element. This is where I belong.
Yeah.
And I never realized after 2013 that when I got out of radio, I thought I was done. And like that scene from The Godfather 3 where he's like, once you think you're out, they pull me back in.
Yep.
That's what it did, you know? And I had no intention to produce podcasts because it's like you needed so much equipment, the way to do it right. And then they came out with the Roadcaster and everything was self-contained. I'm like, oh, that's a game changer. Okay. That's interesting.
Yep.
Let's see where this goes. But I enjoy it. You know, I mean, your husband kind of had the trajectory that I wanted once upon a time when I was 18, 19, 20 years old. He was a professional drummer, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
He played around, he toured and stuff?
Yeah, he toured for 25 years, I think, something like that. He'll correct me on the years. Yep, that was his dream. He was a kid that spent all of his free time practicing drumming. He drummed every day after school, 4 or 5 hours sitting out there in his garage just drumming. Thankfully, his parents were really encouraging of that. And he was 18, moved to LA from San Diego to LA with his band so they could pursue the dream. They toured in a van, and then everything grew from there. He went to a different band. They had a huge success. They were as he would like to say, a moderately successful Christian rock band. That's how he always reframes it. It was a band called Plank Eye. So, 90s kids might remember that if you were into Christian rock during those days. And he toured all over the world with them, and he loved it. He loves perform. He still loves the performing and that feeling of that. So he doesn't miss that sometimes. Eventually,
I'm going to have, like when I have people on that are musically inclined, even like having your husband on, upstairs I have my kit, and I'd like to put another kit nose to nose and just do like drum duels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just have fun with it, film it, whatever comes of it. Like I've always just wanted to do. I did that once upon a time with a buddy of mine in my parents' house back when we were idiots. And we had double drums set up. We actually did a gig one time at a bar with double drums. What a blast. It was so much fun.
Do you remember the Guitar Center drum offs that they used to do?
They still have. I would never do that.
They were not your thing.
No, those guys could play circles around me.
Yeah,
those are all circus drummers.
Yeah, he did that a couple of times and got through a few levels of it, but they definitely cater to a very specific, like performative.
Yeah.
They're wanting you to do things like put a towel over your head and drum blindfolded, and you got to be able to twirl the sticks and things like that. And
it's all it's like I said, performative. I call it circus drumming.
Yeah, very much so.
Stuff that'll get you fired if you want to play regular gigs.
Yeah.
Does he still play around here? Did he have an inkling to kind of sow his seed around Nashville? I mean, this is the city to do it.
Yeah. So, that was the original reason that we moved to Nashville, is so that he could pursue full-time touring and drumming again. And he doesn't do anything now. He doesn't go out and perform right now. We have a home studio. He has the ability to record there. He puts out some of his own music, and he's done covers. But the truth is it was very difficult to support a family on what they pay a touring drummer around here. Like, it's a big difference of when you're in the band. Like when he was in his bands in LA, the band split everything evenly. Everybody was an equal part in the process. And the majority of the performers around here, the drummers is going to be, he knew several drummers here who played biggest Christian rock stars or the biggest country stars. And, they'd be making like $60K a year to be touring 300 days a year.
Yeah.
And like, we can't support a family on that. And we certainly, not our family, our size anyway. And get a lot of mouths to feed. But it's also, to be gone that much, it just wasn't, what we lost for it. It wasn't appealing anymore.
Right. So you had to supplement.
Yep. So we've compromised. We have a home studio. I built sound panels for him, and we have, it's drums, recording equipment, and that way he can at least have that creative outlet whenever he wants it.
Because you've got, not only that, you have a little bit of agriculture going on at the homestead. You're doing the small business, which is a large portion of your income, I would assume. You got 9 kids.
Yes.
And you're still showing up to B&I at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Wednesday. And you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I mean, are you tired?
All the time.
What keeps you going?
I'm a highly motivated person. I'm very driven. I have a really strong competitive side. So when I set my intentions on something, I'm really good at just powering through. Yeah. The downfall of that is I don't always know when to recalibrate. I always think like more effort is going to solve my problems, when sometimes, especially in a small business, you need to step back and be like, maybe I need to do this differently, or maybe this isn't working for a reason. And I'm always just like, let me just try to put more energy into it and make it work. But it benefits me for the most part. I do have a tendency to run myself ragged though. Yeah. Well,
I mean, it's pushing through is a big part of it. What do you do for what's downtime like? You time look like? Because the reason why I ask is recently we're spinning a lot of plates here at J2 with podcasting, video production. We got lights, we've got video walls, garage doors, all the things. It's after a while, your brain just turns to macaroni and cheese, and it's like my wife asked me last week. She's like, "You think we could just hang out together on Friday?" I'm like, yeah, I'm going to make that happen. Let's do that. We got Monday as well, and make it a nice 4-day stretch of just decompressing. And that's what I did. And it's like Tuesday I come in, I felt like a new person. I really did. I'm like, I got to remember to do this, So what do you do? What's that look like for you?
Most of the time that looks like just spending time with my family or my kids. Like we have a pool, and I will just take time to just sit out and either play with them in the pool or watch them just enjoying it. Or we'll take a family trip. We'll go out and spend the day at the zoo or things like that. I love going to their ball games. So most of my kids play sports. And so soccer games, softball games, baseball games. I love just sitting there and then watching them play and have a good time. That's really good downtime for me. I will be honest, I'm not good at taking that time as the way I should. Like you said, I struggle with wanting to work through the weekend because there's always more to do. And I have a hard time reminding myself that there will always still be more to do, whether or not I spend all of Saturday working on it or not. So it's something I need a constant reminder. But my family is also still really young too. Like I have 9 kids. My oldest is 18. My youngest is 18 months. So they still need me present a lot. Yeah. And so that, there'll be time later for more self-indulgent hobbies, I guess.
So 18 years from now, you're probably 15 years from now, it's going to be an entirely different picture. You're going to feel kind of lonely. I might. We'll see how many of them have moved on and started their own families, but it should be a totally different. I can't even imagine what that'll be like. Yeah. I remember hearing about a guy, I can't remember where I heard it from, but they had a set of twins, and young obviously young and trying to figure that out. And a year later had another set of twins. So they were in the beginning inundated, like, oh my gosh. He says, but once they became of age, 9, 10, 11, 12, early teens, we had a blast. And he says, they get to 17, 18. One sets off to college, and literally a year later, you're ramped down to just the two of you again. Yes. He goes, what happened? It's crazy when you think about that.
It is. I know a family that lives around here, and they had 7 kids that were similar to ages of some of my kids. And then their kids started, getting married and moving out. And I asked her what it felt like. And she said, it just felt like we were in the baby stage or the kid stage for so long. And then suddenly, every time I turned around, a kid was leaving home. And she said that felt so fast. And it made her appreciate that little bit of time she had left with the couple that she did have home. And so I know I'm just the beginning stages of that. My oldest is probably going to move out in the next 6 months. And then every other year from now on, I'll have a new kid graduate.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
going to be
just a different stage of life. I do appreciate though, I have 2 drivers that live at home, and I have 4 teenagers that can babysit. So that has been a nice change, not having all little kids. I'm like, okay, I have kids I can rely on. I have another adult in the house that we can, pass responsibilities on to. So that part's great.
Whatever you want to film, wherever you want to film it, we can film your show from just about anywhere. Want to film a special episode of your podcast in a new location? We can do that for you. How about creating your short form video content at home or in your office? We can do that for you. Whatever you want to film, wherever you want to film it, it's your show. We just produce it for you.
You ever hear people make, not snide remarks, but I mean, they have like comments or opinions about your decision of how to, with so many kids?
Yeah.
You ever hear people that are in opposition of that?
Yes, for sure. Mostly, I mean, because we're here in the South, mostly people keep their opinions to themselves because they're very polite. Yeah. But I have had a few people make snide comments about it. I had one woman tell me that you couldn't possibly give enough attention to more than 3 children. Like that was a max. And really people should only have 2. And I've had a couple of people sort of, wheedle in about environmentalism and the overgrowth of population and things, like that. Mostly more often people are just sort of marveled by it because they don't see it very often anymore. And they just can't even fathom what that's like. Yeah. More often the most common comment I get is, wow, I only had 2 and I could barely handle it. And I can't even imagine how you would do all of that. And
how do you answer that?
Oh, for my standard answer is it doesn't matter how many kids you have, they are all encompassing. There is an amount of time and energy you have for them, and that they're going to consume all of that, whether it's 1 or 10. The difference is when you have a lot more, the structure of it changes. Like I don't have to entertain all of them. When I just had a toddler and a baby, like they needed all of me all the time. But right now I have, I have a toddler and a 5-year-old, and they have 7 other kids to play with. Mm-hmm. And so they don't need me to be their sole world. Like my 18-month-old, he spends so much of his day playing with his siblings, and they pass him around and they play games with him and they take him to the pool and they put him in the swings, and they have this abundance of love and energy for him that would all have to be coming from me if he was my only child. So it's just different. The logistics are different.
Are they entrepreneurial minded?
Some of them are. My oldest is already working in our business, and he's really becoming interested in becoming a part of that and as it grows. I also have an 11-year-old who's very, very entrepreneurial. She comes to BNI and she sells hot chocolate every year. She does great, pays for her summer camp and then some. The first year she did it, she paid for her best friend's summer camp as well out of the money that she earned. She was really excited about that. And it started even before that, where I used to buy these big packs of bubble gum, and then my kids could pay me $0.25 for a gumball. And we had this whole thing going where they would earn money and then they would pay me $0.25 for their gumball. And it made them feel a sense of like they would read a book, and then we just kind of built this little system. Well, one day she went out and she saved all of her money, and she went out and bought a pack of gumballs and started selling them 2 for $0.25 to her siblings. And she undercut me and then took all of my business away. And so she is generally at any point in time has 4 or 5 packs of gum squirreled away that she sells to her siblings. And so she's just she came up with it on her own. Market. Yeah, it was great. I was like, fine, you can take over that. It was Well,
you got to look at as a parent admirably at that, because it's what you planted took root.
Yeah. Well, and she did that at 9 years old. It just made sense to her because she figured out she would still make a profit out of it. She knew, and that made sense to her. And then the gum was cheaper to her as well.
And no public school, all homeschooled.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's a lot of work, man. Yeah. But, kudos to you, because, when the kids, and I know this from experience, public school, you're fighting the world, My oldest daughter, once upon a time I always thought entrepreneurially as well, and I still try to get them to think that way, but, it's not cool because dad does it. But eventually I hope they'll come around and be able to see that there is empowerment with that, to know that you can sustain yourself and take care of things without a job. and, bet on yourself. I don't mind them working for other people. I'm like, that's all tactile, intrinsic experience that you need to have. Teaching her what her value is and stuff like that. She was working for $12 an hour at a store up in Cool Springs and said, this isn't worth your time. It barely is worth the gas to get up there. You need to find, you're worth more than this.
Yeah.
So she finally got herself a job that pays over $18 an hour. And she's happy. And I'm like, dude, there you go. So
Exactly.
now you won't accept anything less, which is good. But once upon a time she was doing like these drawings for the back of binders in school. And I would say she was maybe in 4th or 5th grade. And I saw her doing it for herself. And then one day when I was putting her to bed, she was doing it for another friend of hers. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, oh, this is for so-and-so. Oh, okay. What are you charging them? I'm not charging them. Well, why not? I said, yeah, are there other kids or your friends that want the same? Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I said, Cammie, you need to be charging for this. Well, how much would I charge?
Yeah.
I said, 2 for $5. Can I do that? All you can do is ask.
You can find out.
She started making money. She booked like 7 clients the next day. I'm like, dude, that's great. Nice. Good for you. It's $35 in your pocket.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. My twins they're 14 now, but a couple of years ago they learned to crochet, and they would crochet little stuffed animals, and they did the same thing. They started making them for their friends. Like their friends would put in orders we had a little co-op, and they would come home and they would be like, my friend wants a bumblebee like turtle, and so she would do like a bumblebee covered turtle just to make it for them, and they asked me how to charge for it. So we kind of like, okay, how much yarn did you use, and what do you have into it, and what's your time worth, and what's reasonable for this? It's not quite professional, but it's good. So, just having those discussions and they did that for about 2 years. They were solidly selling. They kind of moved on from that. So it's funny. And one of them, I guess they really are entrepreneur. I hadn't really thought about how much it is. So one of them, my 6-year-old likes to do nails. 2 of them are really into nails, and nails are like all the thing with girls right now.
Right.
And so they've done a couple of times. My 16-year-old's done nails for other girls.
Good.
Yeah.
See, it didn't work out that way for me because I taught her how to do it, and she was getting excited about it. I said, look, you can do this all throughout high school, junior high school, middle school. They shut her down. The elementary school said you can't do that.
They can't. No running businesses at school.
And I'm like,
of course they did.
Yeah,
that's not in the program.
They teach obedient workers.
Yes.
And I told her that. I said, well, there are ways to circumvent that. And dear old dad will show you that, and hopefully mom will be on board. But I remember even kids in my high school, somehow they would get like Costco-sized candy, like, M&Ms, fundraisers and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, if I had to do it all over again, I would have a raving business. I'd be like a candy dealer. And just completely cut out the vending machine business that they would have there and just buy it through me.
Yeah,
Cash
absolutely.
on the table.
I will admit we've spent a lot of time trying to teach them entrepreneurial concepts. Yeah. And I've told them that, like, even if you decide not to run your own business, because it's not for everybody. It's a lot of work, and you really have to have the right mentality for it. But if nothing else, it'll make you a good worker. It'll make you understand how a business runs, and you'll be one of the most valuable people at anywhere that you work if you understand how a business is run. If you're able to think broadly about overhead and the impact of how you participate in the business, that the people you work for are going to see that and value that.
You'd hope so, because it depends on who you're working for.
Really?
I think, because my wife started working for Publix, and she doesn't need to. It's just something, hey, it's kind of time. Let's do something, and she enjoys it. She's working again, but she's up at 6 a.m., sometimes 4:30 in the morning. And it's like, I don't know who this person is, because you got like a little bit of a spring in your step. It's kind of diminished since the beginning, but because it's still 4:30 in the morning. But some of the things that she tells me, like the typical corporate, well, hey, we changed this one piece of software and this the way we do things. Now, instead of seeing what we used to do, all the orders that you can juggle plates and make sure the orders are done, now you can only see one at a time. Well, that's a recipe for disaster. Why would we do this? Because somebody up on high decided to do this and trickle it down to the stores. And the management's just like, well, this is just what we have to do. Well, did anybody think to ask, and why are we doing this? Well, no. Okay. Does anybody listen if you do? Well, you know, it's like those types of questions I would be asking. I think I would be their biggest pain in the ass.
Exactly. I'm the same way. I would really struggle with that of just trying to follow a process just because.
Right.
For sure.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes if you get managers that lead by intimidation and fear, others that lead with encouragement and hope, you know, the let's go as opposed to just go mentality. The car business showed me a lot about that, pushing back on managers when they would try and posture. And at that point in my life, I'm surprised looking back at that point in my life that I did stuff like this, but I would, you know, I appreciate you training me and showing me how to do it, but don't ever bow up to me again. If you talk to me like this, it's not going to work out. This doesn't work on me. You know, and fear tactics, intimidation tactics, you know, and public embarrassment. It makes you look worse because I'll just sit there and laugh at you. Oh, yeah, I can. What are you going to do about it? Fire me? Insubordination? Dude, you're publicly embarrassing me. I can't imagine that this is a policy of the parent company. I could just tell them about it if you want to play that game. You know, and I was that ballsy. I don't know where it came from, but it did. Because I was like, you know, it just doesn't have to be this way.
Yeah.
You don't need to treat people like this. And I see it still in organizations, just, you know, devil wears Prada type of scenarios.
Yes, very much so. I think some of that comes from the way, like you were talking about with the school systems earlier, where they're taught to like find a niche and do the job, and everything's laid out, do this and then that, and they're not. They're taught to be a cog in a wheel, and the goal is to just find the best wheel you can. Yeah. And so obviously there are exceptions to all of that. So I'm not trying to bash on every public school kid. I'm not, you know, we've made our choices for our reasons, but I feel like sometimes you're fighting against that system. I see so many kids that come out of that system. And as an employer, I see people that come out of that system that don't know how to independently think. They don't know how to do anything beyond follow instructions and what they're told. And that works really well for the model that you're describing, the big corporate model where they've got their standard operating procedures and it's top down. And if it's a really bad decision from top down, it's nobody's problem except for whoever's, you know, at the top.
Well, people get paralyzed by fear. I can't lose this job. This is my lifeline, even though I'm barely scraping by. If I lose this, oh my gosh, it's going to be catastrophic. So I'm not going to speak up. I'm not going to push back. I'm not going to stand up for and it's like anybody listening to this, you can do that in a strategic, tactful way. It doesn't have to be emotionally driven. It could be logically driven. You know, help me understand why this is a good way to do this. Help me understand why dressing me down in public, this isn't the military boot camp. I can leave without, you know, being reprimanded or court-martialed and absent and AWOL. Okay. They get away with that in the military because you can't leave. Right. And they want to break you down and build you back up in the image they want to see with the discipline that you need. That's what boot camp does. But dude, I'm coming on your sales floor. I could just go across the street if it becomes distasteful here. Okay. And not, and unsavory. There was a guy, we just had graduations and stuff like that. We had my daughter's coming up ceremony, which she's going from middle school to high school. They've got a teacher there. He's been on this podcast. His name is Greg Savilic. And the reason why I had him on, I've had him on this podcast once in a previous iteration of a podcast another time. I actually brought all the gear to the school and set it up and everything. And great conversationalist, great, very intellectual, realistic, like a teacher we're needing type of gentleman. Because the first time we got introduced to him, it was a parents' night. And what he said, he's like, look, I teach history and social studies, but my primary goal is not to create little historians. I'm here to show kids the way they need to learn. It's not just a one blanket statement that you need to do it this way. No, my job is to figure out the best way they're able to learn and make them understand that's unique to them. And that's okay. Even though so-and-so can do it this way, doesn't mean you can do the same thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's preaching everything I loved him right from the get-go. And he actually was one of the people that gave one of the speeches this past week. The principal, mind you, made it all about herself. First time that she had all the grades under her tenure that reached graduation. So she was a little bit emotional. And she told this story about a lupa. And my wife and I, we're not a fan of her to begin with because we had an incident with her a year and a half ago where the safety of my child was put below the integrity and protection of her staff that didn't take my safety of my child into consideration. So I ended up calling her an automaton and left. But because she was giving me like the seminar speak. It was like, dude, I know what you're doing. Stop. This is embarrassing for you. But anyway, she gave her whole speech about this student named Alupa and like talking about how she couldn't read very well and she couldn't blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, is she really like spotlighting a student that she had? Then I'm going, no, that's not what she's doing. I'm going to my wife. I'm like, where is she going with this? She goes, I have no idea. I'm like, oh, okay. Alupa is her name just misspelled. And, and how she went, and this student went on to have multiple degrees and blah, blah. That was me. I'm like, did you really just do that, for crying out loud? Oh gosh, it was so douchey. It was so cringy. And then Mr. Savelik gets up and he makes a speech. The dude riffed. He actually went off script. He had something planned to say and he completely just, at the last second, tossed it aside and went with his gut. And it was awesome. He was like, all of you have a gift. And it's your job to figure out what that is. You all have a gift. And when you find out what it is, you need to take it seriously. Whether it's to go to college, whether it's to become an architect, whether it's to become a carpenter, whether it's to become a plumber. And he specifically inserted the trades in there. Because he and I always talk about that. And he's like, did you notice that's what I did? I'm like, yeah, I totally noticed, dude. I said, but the gift, that's what they need to hear. Because I never heard that in middle school. If you don't go to college, you're going to lose. That's what I heard. That
was very much what our whole generation was taught. Was that was the path to success. You know, you could work. I love watching Micro Works. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And he will talk about it. The work smarter, not harder. How that was the propaganda of the age. And my parents who were blue collar. My dad was a contractor. My mom eventually went on to get a nursing degree, but they grew up poor. They worked hard. They built something out of it, and they thought that the part of the dream was all of their kids would go to college because that was the next step in success. And we all did. We all got college degrees, science and math, computer science. And my sister also got a chemistry degree. I mean, we were like the definition of nerdy success, and none of us ended up doing much in those fields because it didn't, I don't want to say it didn't pan out, but it just didn't make sense for our lives for a variety of different reasons, like I said earlier with mine. And so with my kids, I'm like, there are just many paths to success. And college is in my opinion, for people who need a specific degree to do that job. And this is the only way to do that. So obviously something, nursing, doctors, the engineers, there are professions you can't do without it. Yeah. But the number of friends that I have that have $100,000 in student loan debt who went to get a history degree, but didn't want to teach history. And now they are and they're doing something totally unrelated that they could have done without going that route. It's a great experience and it was fun and, all those kinds of things, but it was very expensive. And I have friends that spent $80,000 getting a counseling degree or just so they could make $35,000 a year. Yeah. And so I didn't want that for my kids. So my kids, it's go to college if you need a degree, but we're going to do it very economically. And we're always going to consider options of trades or entrepreneurship or different things, depending on how you're wired and where you want to go. Because our goal is to get there, not have the most exotic experience along the way.
Well, yeah, and it's expensive extended adolescence experience.
It is. It's so much more expensive now even than it was when I went to school.
I'm wondering if it is anymore because, people are getting wise to it.
Is it?
And I would think, how is enrollment really playing out these days? We should probably ask ChatGPT, but is there a downtick in kids going off to college? I would have to think there is because our generation, it was hammered into us. And for a lot of us, it worked out. But you're right. I mean, sometime after our generation graduated, it became more of a play for the banks. and the loans that you couldn't get out from underneath. You can't bankrupt your way out of a student loan.
No.
It's similar to the way, the real estate industry started selling homes. It's the American dream to own your own home. No, it's not. You're just reinventing and reframing the narrative. The American dream is to pursue happiness.
Yes.
And have the ability and whatever, if you don't hurt anybody, just pursue your happiness, whatever that may look like. Not to own a home. Because they've even robbed you of that.
Yes.
You don't own it, and it's like I love the fact that the property tax arguments are starting to take traction.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely pushback because we're now, we've got my whole generation that feels a good chunk of us very burned on the expense of college, that anchor of the student loans being
Do you have student loans?
I do.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Still. What's the time horizon? When are you done with them?
At this point, I don't have a payoff scheduling for them.
Really?
Not to be overly disclosing, but it's well over 6 figures.
Oh my gosh, really? And you're still servicing that?
Yeah.
And you've been doing so for the past 20 years?
Yes, and it's like I would love to get ahead of that and to pay that down, but I don't know how to get that deep into the sacrifice for my family that it will take to do that. I mean, it's a mortgage. It's like it's like a second mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And so I have deep regret on that side because looking back wisely, I didn't understand what I was getting into. I did sign up for it. I was an adult.
Yeah.
So I take responsibility for that, but I didn't understand what that kind of money took to pay back.
Yeah.
And so it has continued to grow because of the interest level on it. And I don't have a path to getting, it's a lot of money. And so there's only so low you can get an interest rate on something like that.
Can you call the bank? I remember Grant Cardone. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's like a big sales trainer now. He's a big real estate guru. Now he's getting into crypto. But he says, you do realize when you call the bank, it's both y'all's problems.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like at some point, when do you call the bank and be like, guys, I understood what I signed. This is 20 years ago. You've made X amount of dollars off me. What are we doing here?
Right.
I'm going to die before I pay you off. And that's it. Is that a possibility? I mean, you ever think about maybe just saying, I'm sure they'll tell you to go pound sand, but
right. I don't think so because there's no motivation to them. They will get their money one way or the other.
No.
I mean, it'll come out of my estate or I'll pay on it till, I won't give up hope at being able to pay it off. But at this phase, with my family and I'm not willing to, I don't know what it would take, how deeply we would have to sacrifice to get that paid off. And it would still take a long period of time to get ahead of that payment on it. So it's, it's a rough reality. And so that's part of, to me, is I don't want any of my kids to end up with that kind of an anchor because it's been an anchor on my life. And I appreciate the education. I appreciate all the kinds of things. But because I didn't go into a career where I was making, 6 figures out of the gate, I never was able to get ahead of it.
Yeah. I'm almost thinking that you have a book in you.
I would love to write a book.
Because you need more stuff to do.
I do.
Writing a book is not as difficult as it may seem if that's what you're thinking. Write a page a day, speak it out, record it, and then have it transcribed. But your lifestyle, it's not, I don't want to say it's homesteading, but talking about your life, as it were. Now, getting people to read it is the other problem.
Yeah. How do you, the marketing standing out, how do you get it in front of the people that would actually enjoy it?
Right. Because in and of itself, that's either a podcast topic or a podcast itself. I could see a lot of what you're talking about, especially with the way you've decided to live your life and, with the student loans, there are a lot of people in the same boat. That's an interesting podcast, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I appreciate that I'm starting to see, like you said, a little bit of the pushback and a little bit of the culture change. I'm just afraid it's not going to happen quickly or broadly enough. And seeing that when my son graduated and that the vast majority of people ask, where are you going to college or what, he would tell me, he's like, they would ask me what I'm doing next. And if it didn't involve saying college, people didn't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Like they just assumed all kids wanted to or were going to go to college next. And so when you would say, I'm going to work in my parents' business and I'm going to, do some other things, they were like, oh. And they would kind of trail off. They don't even know how to interact with that because, and on the other end of it, we would have kids like his friends and I'd ask them what they were doing next. And they would say, I'm going to this private school in another state to study astrophysics or something like that. And I'm like, oh, it's going to be a lot of student loans and you're probably never going to work in that field.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like, I don't mean to be, I didn't say that.
You're not the Debbie Downer, but.
Not to be the Debbie Downer, but in my brain, I would go
cautionary
home.
tale.
I would go home and talk to my kids and I'd be like, we love this person so very much. But the odds of her actually working in that field are so astronomically low. It's not reasonable.
The nature of the course will teach you that. Astrophysics, right? I mean,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was and they would, it's the same with, there's a lot of, history degree, psychology degree. Like there's no application for a bachelor's in psychology.
My daughter is, I do these podcasts, so if my kids ever need to hear my voice in the future, they'll always have, as long as there's an internet and these things still live, they'll always be able to hear me in various points of my life. And I'm speaking of my daughter, Cammie. She's 20 now. She went into college very strongly, had all the grants and scholarships, things of that nature. Now we're having a little bit of trouble, which is, I wouldn't be surprised either way, because I told them all their lives, I said, your job when you get out of high school is to figure out who you are. I want you to have uber sharp and acute self-awareness. That may mean going to college. That may mean you figure it out for a couple of years. You go work a regular job, you work for me, whatever it looks like. Just, you got to figure yourself out. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of a detour, and that's okay. And as your dad, as your mom has told you, that's okay. So the other night she came home, she was upset. She's like, I'm just a disappointment. I said, do not refer to yourself that way. You are not a disappointment at all. Okay. But you got to figure out the problem at hand.
Yeah.
And I said, whether it looks like you go back and you take out loans, I said, Cam, that's the thing. You got to pay them back. I said, once they got you, they got their hooks in you. You can't escape from that. So you got to really weigh what the benefits are. I said, but mostly you got to know why you're going.
Yes.
If you're going just to have a fun time and hang out and do this, I said, we're not in a position to pay for that and fund that lifestyle. I'll tell you that right now.
Yes.
And nor will we. I said, but if you're 20 years old and you want to take out loans to do that, I'm telling you right now, that's a bad idea. Especially if you have no idea why you're going. So we had come to the conclusion a year ago, look, go with communications, just get the paper, make it as easy as possible. If you could fog a mirror, great, you pass.
When communications translates well into a lot of different fields.
Right. Because, even then, at least I got a degree, but she was like, well, I want to go into psychology. I said, psychology is going to be taken over by AI. I said, somebody at some point, I don't know, I keep on telling this story. I don't know why I haven't pursued it yet. Is going to make an app for $29 a month, and you're going to be able to create your own AI avatar that's got access to all the world's history of psychological information. Okay. All the things. And they'll be able to make them in whatever image they like. I said, white collar jobs are in trouble. I said, now you want to become a nail tech, you want to do hair, whatever. There's nothing wrong with that. Because there was like a stigma once upon a time that if you chose, it's not anymore.
No, I definitely see that changing, and I appreciate that because the trades are so very valuable. And it's like I said, I love listening to Mike Rowe because he talks about it. Like, why are we looking down on the people that keep our world running?
Right.
Like the people that do the dirty jobs, the hard jobs, the physical jobs. There's so much honor and value and pride in that. And, I live in a small community out in Hickman County, and a huge portion of the families that live out there, I mean, they're linemen, they're tradesmen, they're electricians, they work on the roads. I mean, why are we looking down on people who who make our society enjoyable, that keep our power on. Like I have one of the things is like when there's storms and the power will go out, I'll remind my kids, like I know our friends, they live down the road, their dad's a lineman. He's outside right now trying to get our power back on.
Right.
Like he's the one that gets up in the middle of the night in the rainstorm and does something dangerous so that we don't have to sit in the dark all night. And so it's funny, I'm such a mom. I get emotional over the silly things. I'm like, hormones.
No, I get it. I get it.
But it just makes me frustrated because my dad was that. He worked on oil rigs. He was a contractor. He was in the Navy. He was that person. And so to see people having been through the academics and kind of the ivory towers of this world and seeing people look down on people that work like that. Yeah. And I'm like, you would be lost without these people. You can't even put a button on a shirt. You can't even change out a doorknob. And you somehow think you're better than other people. That very much rubs me wrong.
And I don't know who started that kind of mindset, because I worked in a very blue collar field doing phone system work with my dad in Westchester County, New York, very affluent. Like Williamson County thinks they're rich. This is generational wealth.
Old money.
Old money, back to the Revolutionary War money. And you go in there and a lot of white collar wealth, because your proximity to New York City and Manhattan and everything. But they would literally pretty much look down their nose at you. Worked in a lot of law offices. And the other thing that kind of rubs me wrong is that the notion that you have to go to school to become a lawyer. Back in the day, if you wanted to become a lawyer, you just found somebody to take you under their wing. You became an apprentice, then a journeyman, like you do as an electrician. And you spent time in the library pulling case studies and figuring stuff out that way and how things work and court procedures under somebody's mentorship. That has to come back, even in the medical field, if you hang around an ER long enough, you're going to learn stuff.
Yes.
You're going to learn some stuff. It's going to rub off.
Yes.
Especially if you have a passion. We watched the show, The Pit. That's a trade, man. What they're doing is a trade, they're getting their hands dirty.
Yes.
It's physical. They're on their feet for 12 hours a day. It's a grueling job.
Yeah, I wish we saw more
apprenticeships
or more internships or more. The apprenticeship model is so out of fashion for the most part, and there's a lot of that knowledge is lost. It used to be passed down through generations, and now we somehow let it be commoditized as into the education where you can't learn to be a plumber unless you've gone to the plumbing school or the electrician school. And I know that there's certain aspects of that of keeping standards to a safety levels, but it doesn't have to be. I don't know. It is like you said with the lawyer. It used to be you got trained and then you just had to pass the bar.
All those jobs. I get going to med school, pre-med, and all that stuff. There's a lot of information to learn, but why can't you do it? That was when I went to broadcast school, apples and bowling balls. I know. But their whole thing was learn by doing.
Yes.
And that's how I learned best. I wasn't a scholastic read a book and cram the information in my head and be able to recite it at a moment's notice kind of student at all. I learned better with my hands on.
So one of the things I think that is the problem that we have adopted this idea that everybody needs to be a generalist. And so that our kids need to be raised to have a broad education.
Yeah.
And I remember reading an article once from a fellow homeschool mom shared this with me. And it was basically like why I do not want my children to be generalists. I don't want them to be, I can't think of the word, but I want them to have, a good broad education. Like the liberal arts idea. And because it used to be, the idea when you did the family business or you found an apprenticeship or things like that, the goal was to become excellent in something that you were good at or wired for. And how much does it matter if an editor can do math? She needs, an editor needs to have enough math we need functional math for lifestyle, everyday living, but they don't need to be able to do algebra 2 to be able to be an editor at a book editor or a newspaper. And then on the same kind of end, do we really care if our doctor can remember Shakespeare or things like that? If they have an interest, that's great, but I want them to be excellent at what they do. And we have pushed this idea of everybody needs to have a liberal arts experience from kindergarten through ever.
Well, that's how they get people on the tit, and just permanently.
Yeah.
It's about milking the people that with the hope and dream of and I would imagine that in the beginning they started out with the best intentions, and it just turned into the educational industrial complex is what it's become. I go to my daughter's school, and I want to say that she's like, oh yeah, we got a rec center with a workout and everything, and they've got a kayak launch and a lazy river, and I'm going. So they have an entire like theme water park. She goes, yeah, pretty much water slides and everything. I go, well, at least you got to go there. And as part of this, she's like, oh no, it's $20. I'm like, and they charge you entry on top of the tuition. I'm like, that's just grifting. That is just flipping grifting. And then, she's like, well, most of the classes are online now. I'm going,
yeah. Most of the college students that I know go to classes almost exclusively online.
Why are you living there?
My niece was in dorms in another state, and almost every one of her classes she could attend online. I was like, why are you there? Yeah. I don't understand. Like, it's so different from my experience in college, for one. And maybe I'm just old, but I have a hard time seeing that same value if you're exclusively online. I certainly don't see how they can charge the same prices, but they do.
Salespeople of salespeople, man. It's like, it's infuriating. Just sitting through the orientation practices. And my daughter's really good about asking questions. We've taught them, like, look, just don't take things for face value. Know that you can challenge and you could ask questions and push back. Okay. A lot of these things can be alleviated just by asking the right questions and talking to the right people. And that's the other thing, is that they'll give you the runaround, with phone trees and all that stuff. You can't get a real human being. I'm like, dude, who's got it better than me? It's like, yours just as bad as the flipping IRS. I need to start a business where we're hiking up the rates. Why? Because
we know that you can get a loan for them that the government is going to back, and then you can never get out of it. And so the price is going up. There's no pushback. There's no relevance. Nobody's paying out of pocket for this hardly anymore.
Be curious to see, again, like I said, how many people are matriculating in these days versus 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the other side of it is quality the same? I'm not trying to put shade on it, but what I see coming out of college graduates is not the same that I saw in my day. And I know my day versus what like my graduate advisor was describing of what was expected when he was a chemistry grad student, so vastly different. So I could not have kept up with what was expected when he was going through this system. And so that gradual decline, because we're now in a the education, like you said, it's been commoditized. It's become it's a business, and the students are customers. And so we want happy students. So we have rec centers, and we have sports complexes, and we have kayaking launch sites and whatever, concerts. I mean, all kinds of things. So the students are happy, and they get to sit in their dorms and watch their classes at their leisure. And so they're happy customers, and the price doesn't matter because they don't have any connection to what they're paying, because it's not coming out of dollars they've earned. It's either coming out of a parent's pocket or out of a loan, and they have no sense of $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year. Like that's not, it's monopoly money. Yeah. When you're 18 years old, you've no concept of what that means.
I mean, I thought I did.
I did too.
$2,000 was a lot. And we went through this exercise recently with my son he wants to buy a PC. He just turned 18. He found one for $1,600. I said, look, maybe now's a good time to understand and learn credit. I said, this isn't a payment that's impossible for you to make. I said, but as long as we're consulting with you, you get something like this, you make the payment. You either keep enough capital in your bank account to pull out of it on a frequent, automatic arrangement, but you got to keep working to keep feeding it. I said, but it should, build your credit, which is something you need to do. responsibly. I didn't have anybody tell me that, you know. I mean, I went into the wood chipper with credit for, you know, everyone says, oh, it's 7 years. They're right. It's 7 years. I remember trying to get a cell phone with my wife back when they started pulling credit to see if you can, because you were making monthly payments. And I couldn't even get a cell phone. And she and I were dating at the time. I'm like, if there was ever any reason to run from potentially marrying me, that would be a big one, you know. But not until we were able to buy a house and I had to atone for my sins, so to speak, and explain what happened. And thankfully, her parents helped us out and signed on the loan and gave us a down payment. They really did step up and help us out. But man, did things change once we were homeowners. Bought my first car for the first time. I was so elated. I'm like, I actually got a good interest rate, you know, and I take my credit so seriously now. So seriously.
Yeah, because it takes time to understand the value of a dollar, where it comes from. And some kids get experience with that. And I think older generations, we did to some more degree, but like most of the time now, my kids have very little interaction with real money. I mean, they earn it, and we do the commission system, not an allowance. So they do have a sense of earning it, but they don't have a concept of what it takes to do anything of significance until time. Like my two oldest kids have bought their own cars. They've saved up the money, paid in cash for it. And I feel like that was a huge triggering event for both of them to realize how much work and time it took them to earn the $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 that they spent on those first vehicles. And then they actually have to take all that money that they have blood, sweat, and tears over and then go hand it over to somebody and get a vehicle. And now they're starting with almost nothing in their bank account again. And so that starts to build that sense of that, you know, you need to have that little bit of pain to know that how much it took to earn that. And it just is, it's so important. And I don't think enough people are really getting that. And we certainly aren't, they're not teaching it in school. They have part of me feels like, they don't teach them anything practical in school. I think I was like, they went, like you said, it was all well-meaning and it's so pushed so far in one direction, but now kids graduate and they don't know how to live. They don't know about how to file taxes. They don't understand compound interest. They don't understand how to apply to rent an apartment. And those are the things that are going to matter so much more rather than if they can do the Pythagorean theorem or if they can, you know, quote historical context.
Hi, I'm Jason Miller. I'm the owner of Christian Brothers Automotive here in Spring Hill, Tennessee. We fix cars here, both European and domestic, from simple oil changes to complete engine rebuilds and replacements. Most important thing, though, is while you're waiting, we've got the best snack game in town, and we invite you to make yourself at home and get to know us, and we treat you like family. We're located right across the street from Walmart on Highway 31 right here in Spring Hill. Let us know that you heard about us on this ad, and we'll give you 10% off your next oil change. So stop on in and see us in downtown Spring Hill. Do we even have a downtown in Spring Hill?
You know the comedian Jim Brewer? There was a reel that I saw of his. He's always been hilarious. Goat Boy from Saturday Night Live. And he's been getting very philosophical and commenting on culture these days with a very funny bent, as he can do. But he was on stage doing one of his things. He says, you know, I sent my daughter off, our first little girl, to leave the nest and go to college, and dropped her off and said our goodbyes and everything. And then a couple weeks go by and she's supposed to come home. She gets home, and as soon as she gets through the door, everything, you're like, gender, racist, sexist, gender. It is so hilarious, but at the same time, like, and so pathetically true. You know, it's like, that's what they're learning.
Yes.
That's what they're learning. It's like, what happened? Go back. Get out of our house, you know?
No, for sure. There's so much one of the reasons that we made the decision to homeschool is, besides the fact that I just really like being around my kids, and I didn't want to lose what was the best part of their day, for sure. But I also feel like I didn't want to delegate so much of their raising. Yeah. And so if they're spending all this time with other people, I'm having to trust that nobody else is going to be impart our value, our community, our family traditions. And it extends to, you know, to college. If you're going to send them off to these institutions that I don't share their values with, why would I expect them to come home and not have consumed, their goal is to draw their child into their way of thinking.
That's true. Yeah, they marinate them.
Mm-hmm.
So the solution, I think, is right there on your shirt. You're decked out like a NASCAR driver.
Yes.
Always are. Superior Washing Services is, to me, a very franchisable idea.
We would love to franchise it.
Have you looked into it before?
We haven't looked, just very loosely at the, I like the idea of it for sure.
Yeah.
I kind of don't know where to begin without outside of my conversations with AI. So I don't know how reliable that is. But.
It's I think it's kind of doable. So, I mean, we barely talked about your business.
Yeah.
You're providing all the things, washing, pressure washing, siding, driveways. You're doing sealing now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
driveway sealing. We do windows too. We started as a window cleaning company. And
it's kind of evolved from there.
Yes.
And how's, how long have you been doing this?
Since 2008.
2008. So the year of the crash.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like getting into it? Hey, good. Did you know the crash was coming? Did it already happen?
It's hard to think on that timeline. We were kind of living through the crash at the time. So my husband started doing it as a side hustle for musical equipment money because drum heads are really expensive.
Or sticks.
And sticks.
Yeah.
And he would go through so many. And I was like, we cannot afford this. And he's like, well, I'm going to go do this window cleaning thing. And then I'll use that money for guitar strings, drum heads, sticks, and all of that. But in that period of time, we lost 2 houses in short succession because we thought buy a house and we didn't need a down payment and we didn't have any history. And it just, we were like the perfect product of that era bomb. And so it was a very difficult time.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But then your back's against the wall. You got to make something work and off you go.
Yep, exactly.
Did you have a moment where there was clarity in terms of like, hey, we got something here that there's like traction?
Yes.
You remember when that happened?
That was probably our second year here in Tennessee, as we were still doing a couple of things and we hadn't quite gotten to where it was our main income. But my husband he took me to a pressure washing convention that used to meet every year here in Nashville. It's called the Big Convention. And I was very upset with him because he had spent like $100 on these tickets. And I was like, we cannot afford this at all. And we're not pressure washers and I don't know what you're doing. But I went to this convention with him and he was right. He saw the writing on the wall that it was a great expansion for our business. And we got the information we needed there. We also made the connections there. We met people that we're still friends with today who run these kinds of businesses all over the country, and they're wonderful resources. And we sat there after that convention. We sat in our bedroom and we said, we're going to give it one more year and we're going to do this. And if it doesn't work in a year, we're going to do something else because we can't hang on at this level any longer.
Right.
And within the next year, we were starting to see the climb and the improvement to where it could be, this is a real thing and this is what we can do for our family.
You're basically adding legs to the stool.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not depending on window watching. Now you got other offerings.
Exactly. We can,
that are congruent.
Exactly. How to add, learning how to add more services, learning where the money is in the services. What we earn per hour pressure washing is double to triple for window cleaning. It's just a reality. You can make good money window cleaning. It's great money pressure washing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we needed that whole big picture to be able to offer all of the whole package.
Have you ever thought about like combining your chemistry knowledge? I mean, you're so advanced in it, with the detergents and things that they use. Has that ever crossed your mind?
Definitely. We have had many conversations about that. And it's really limited by the fact that I just don't have the time.
Right.
There's a couple of things that I've kicked around that I'd like to work on, but I need the time to invest in putting together models and researching products and,
or coming up with your own.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would really, it's one, like I said, I'm definitely an entrepreneur. I'm always thinking of like 12 ideas every day that I'm like, I should maybe do that, or I should do that. So it's deciding where the best investment is for my time. And I just haven't had the bandwidth for it yet.
That's the frustrating thing about an entrepreneur. You're always thinking about the angle.
Mm-hmm.
We had the car wash show. I mean, that is an industry that's always looking for the next best chemical. I guess, because they're always using chemicals to wash the cars, and they got to reuse them and recycle them and minimize the impact on the environment and drainage, and also minimize the cost center in terms of how much they're using. How far can you stretch a bucket of suds or whatever, across however many washes? It's constantly being figured out. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you just got to do what Tony Stark did and come up with a new element.
Yeah.
But at that show, you come across little ideas, and this happened to me. There's a little ice kiosk next to my in-laws' house, and my wife has always been fascinated with it. She's like, you pull up, you put your money in, and they fill your bag with ice. It's just a little, like a vending machine. And she's like, I know, it's weird. It's so fascinating. And I've always tried to get, because it's cute, because my wife thinks it's funny. But lo and behold, they had the people that actually do that at the car wash show. And hey, you might as well monetize another portion of your property and make it accessible, blah, blah, blah. But it's got my wheels turning, man. I'm like, you just got to find the land, run electric and drain it and water out to it, and you're golden. And you got a little business that makes about, apparently 40 to 70 grand a year, depending on what traffic area you're in.
It's all those little things too. And it's usually the most lucrative businesses are the least sexy.
Yeah.
They're the boring. They're like the manual car washes or the laundromats. It's vending machines. It's just knowing when and how and where to put it.
When you started getting heavy into pressure washing, this question just popped into my head. It's like buying a car and you're keen on buying a certain model car in a certain color. Then all of a sudden that's not all you see. Did you all of a sudden like, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to put our pedal to the metal. We're going to give it a year. Did you realize, look around, where did all these pressure washers come from? Yeah. Did that happen? I
don't say that at that point. I felt like we knew everybody that was doing it as a legitimate business. So, I'd say there was probably 2 or 3 other branded companies like us at the time. There probably were a few more, but for the most part, you just didn't see very many. And that industry has grown so dramatically in the last 15 years.
It has.
It's like every time you watch a video, it's like top 10 businesses you can start on under $500. They'll put pressure washing on there. And I'm like, you're not starting a business for under $500 for pressure washing. Yeah. The equipment's a little more expensive than that, or else it's going to be a lot of, but if you have $3 to $5 grand, you can start one. And so there's a lot of people that get into it, but we also see a lot of turnover because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of equipment maintenance. And there's a lot of knowledge too. And that's one thing I talk about in our group regularly. It's not just knowing how to use the equipment. It's knowing how not to destroy things, which is really key. How not to kill all of the plants, not how to etch the siding. And there's, especially around here, with Bougie, Brentwood, Williamson County. I mean, there's a lot of very expensive materials that people build their properties out with. And if you don't know better, you're going to tear it up and be really, really sad. And half of them don't have insurance. They don't have, the liability insurance. They don't know what they're doing. And, we see it every day. We're in a lot of online groups across the country. We see every day some guy posting I just started this summer and I did this thing and how do I fix it? And we're like, that can't be fixed. That has to be replaced. You've just destroyed their sidewalk and it's going to be acid washed now because you've etched lines into it because you don't know how to use your equipment, So it's interesting, and I there was a guy visiting today, brand new into the industry. And I told him, I was like, if you need a friend, we'll be a friend. We're not mad at other people starting, but it's an easy business to get into. The people that last 5 to 10 years are a handful. Right.
Well, I mean, it's like the car wash industry. Everyone thinks, well, he's going to buy a car wash and it prints money. No. And there's so many people that I say I'm similar. I'm a part of a lot of different Facebook groups, and I just need to find a car wash because it's completely passive. No, it's not. No. It is not. Which kind of car wash do you want? You want an express tunnel? You want an IBA? Do you want a self-serve? Self-serve, yeah, I could see, but it's not going to be the kind of revenue producer that an express tunnel or an IBA does. Because people are showing up, they're paying you for the ability to power wash their car. Right. Well, that's about it. You got to make sure the payment machines work and you got water and soap and all that stuff. Sure, that's about as passive as it gets, but it still takes
everything
overhead.
takes work.
It does. It does.
That's the illusion. Yeah. There's nothing that's just you
except
you put
ice
on autopilot.
machines.
For the ice machines. Right. There we go. That's where we all need to go with it.
We're going to start seeing ice machines pop up all over town like car washes. But that was some of the things that you and I, we belong to the marketing power team with the BNI chapter, what we belong to Wilco. And we've talked about a lot of the marketing concepts that you've had. And someone we know came up with your current
tagline,
your positioner, taking the pressure out of pressure washing. Because it was like, look, you can do this yourself. You can go to rent the equipment, figure it out, spend an entire Saturday into something that'll take us maybe 2 hours.
Exactly.
Or you can get your Saturday back.
Yes.
We take the pressure out of it.
Yes.
You pick.
Exactly.
That's the angle. That's a good angle.
I think so. I think we're in an era where for the majority of people, your time is more valuable than anything else. Like I don't have free Saturdays to just, I mean, like what free time do you have? How many people would rather, do you want to sit by your pool? Do you want to hang out with your kids? Do you want to take your wife to a movie? Or do you want to spend 12 hours pressure washing your driveway? I mean, there are some people that are diehards that want to do that. And I get that.
Yeah.
But I'd say the majority of people, you get to a phase of life where you're like, you don't mow, I had one guy that worked for us part-time for a while and he's like, I don't know why people pay for us to do this. Like you could do this yourself. And I was like, everybody has something they delegate out. Like most people don't mow their lawns. Not most, I don't know how many people don't mow their lawns, but landscaping is huge because that's something to time take away. It's like, we don't make our own clothes anymore. There's so many things we don't do anymore. We delegate it. And this is just one of those things. Time is a commodity that's limited.
I don't mind mowing my lawn. I actually kind of enjoy it. It's cathartic. It's, I come up with a lot of ideas while I'm mowing the lawn. But these days, as I get older and I have to ride the e-bike more, dude, my heart rate gets up like over 160 when I mow the lawn. And I'm not even moving. I'm not huffing and puffing. I don't know what it is. It's a self-propelled mower. I need to get maybe one of those ones that you stand on. I don't need a zero turn. But the one that would just kind of like you stand on the back of it. But it's it would be ridiculous for my yard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my wife would make fun of me. Yeah. Like, really? You spent, $2,500 on that thing? We could have, how many years of lawn service could we have paid for? And I'm like, but I still like doing it. Yeah.
But that's the thing is you just got to pick and choose your time because you can only, if you love doing it, if you love pressure washing your deck I'm not mad at anybody that wants to do it themselves, but most people, that's not how they want to spend their time.
Right.
And so you find it cathartic. That's great. And there's a lot too that you can't do. Like people are not getting the second story eaves of their house with the machine they bought at Home Depot.
Right.
And I can reach up to the third story of a house from the ground. And so there's a lot I can get to that you can't. And I can do it and get in and out so fast. And then you can move on with your life.
Right.
And so that's what we like. We really try to focus on having a good customer experience, professional. My husband was from the beginning, we need to look professional. We need to have the uniform. We need to have the lettered truck because we want to convey professionalism and confidence to our customers.
He's right.
Yep. We're not the guy that does this as a side gig. We're not chucking a truck. We're not the splash and dash is a industry term, where the guys are in and out and you never see them again. And, we're wanting to take our time, do a good job and take care of your property because your home is most people's biggest asset. The average person, that is their biggest asset. And we're there to help you care for it, not cause you problems, not cause damage to your property or leave a mess or, make you feel uncomfortable because you have, sweaty random guys around your house that you wonder if, they're going to steal something. We want to convey that we're here to make you feel comfortable and confident in what we do.
What do you do? Do you offer your services to dealerships and stuff? Some of those types of approaches?
Do you mean like for washing vehicles?
Yeah.
We don't do that. That's usually that's kind of a separate deal.
Niche business.
It's just more of a niche, yeah.
What's the goal with it? Next 5-10 years? What do you want to see it?
I would really like to get another truck on the road, and I would like to get fully expanded to where my husband and I are not working in the field anymore. We're still in and out. We're kind of in that phase where you're scaling and you get out of it, and then you have to step back in a second and then back and forth, so we can get fully scaled and fully out of it and have our son, managing and, running his own truck, because he's on his way to doing that.
You ever have a guru or business coach tell you, you really need to work on your business, not in it?
Yes.
How much does that drive you nuts?
I know. It's
Tell me that you really don't know about businesses without telling me you do. It's like,
yes. The number of times I've read a book or listened to the podcast or talked to somebody who's trying to pitch me business coaching or something like that, or scaling, and it's really just, we just need to increase your prices a little bit and then decrease your expenses a little bit and then book a couple more jobs. And then look,
Easy.
you'll double, here 20% more business. And I'm like, oh, that's, yes, all of that is absolutely true.
Yeah.
But I also.
How much is this magic wand?
Right, exactly. But I'm also, the reality is sometimes I'm up all night with a child that's throwing up, and then I have to get up in the morning and do bids and call back customers. And then if my technician gets sick, then I'm going to fill in for him, all while rearranging who's taking my kids to, softball and baseball games, as well as, and yes, I'm still doing my own bookkeeping, and I can only delegate so many tasks because I've got the I need to have the income, and I do have expanded to having an assistant, but at the same time, I'm a mom with 9 kids and a husband and a farm, and I don't know. There's just, I don't know. It feels like on paper, it seems so simple, and the reality is so much harder.
Yeah.
So.
But you are so rich.
I am. I feel I'm very blessed. I have no qualms in life. I love my life. I love my kids.
Yeah.
I love my husband, our home. We have a great life. So I have no complaints on that regard. The competitive side of me, though, is like, I want to do this better. I want to be so much better. And I just don't have the time. Right.
Well, I mean, all you got to do is cut your expenses, charge a little bit more, and book more.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
That's all you got to do.
Easy.
That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
And if it's you just need a little more Google advertising, you need to do the pay-per-click, and you need to advertise on Facebook, and you need to send out cards, and you need to put a mailer in the golf course pamphlets, and,
Yeah. All the things.
And go to a couple more networking events.
That's it.
Yeah. It's just that simple.
Challenges that you need to overcome that I guess you just kind of listed them out.
I think that's pretty much covered them. I know. Sometimes, it's for sure, there's sometimes I need to get out of my own way. Yeah. Learning that just because I can do something doesn't mean I'm the best person to do it. Right. That's a hard lesson for me, because I feel like I can do anything. If I just, spend some time and effort, I can learn to do anything. And that's probably somewhat true, but it doesn't mean I'm the best person to do something.
I think a lot of business owners, especially small business owners, how many trucks do you have operating?
Just one right now.
Oh, just one. Okay. Mm-hmm. And keeping that one busy is probably enough of a chore as it is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you know where the threshold is in order to be like, okay, once that's done, now we can get another one? Are you close to that threshold?
Where I'd say, like, if we could, I would say we're probably not close. We're just in this position where if things fell into place, we could double our business in a year, but finding those little pieces to put in those places, we just don't quite have there. And so we could easily be putting another truck on the road next year if we could get the right things in place.
Right.
And then the challenge then is hiring, because it is a very difficult industry to hire good help in, because we have to trust our customers with them. And it's
getting good forward public facing people.
Yes.
That's a big, in any trade.
Yes.
We experienced that a bit with the electrical trade, and we had, about every 7 to 8 people you hire, you're going to get the one.
Yes.
That's what seems to be the magic number.
Yes.
And then having to deal with Gen Z and having that mentality, which you have to contend with, they like things a certain way, but getting in front of them in high school and stuff like that and showing them, hey, this is a good way to make a living. It's very physical, but we build it right. We could franchise it and maybe you become regional manager, director, and make it a big thing like A1 Garage Door did, But I think a lot of the times business owners get inside their own bottle, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
They become their biggest obstacle and stuff like that. But that's more of a holistic business coach that can see that and is not trying to sell an agenda or an angle or a course.
Yeah.
Someone who truly comes alongside you. My business partner does that. He took a nursery down here in Columbia and they were making, I want to say $600,000 to $700,000 a year. And he says over the next 3 or 4 years, he got them in the $2.4 or $3 million range just by doing what he loves. He loves helping other businesses in a holistic way or very organic growth, rearranging the innards and stuff like that and the structures. So maybe that's a good conversation to have with him. You met him earlier, so yes. I'm always singing his praises. So how do people find and follow you? SuperiorWashingServices.com, all of those things?
Yes, exactly. That's our website, and you can request a quote there. If we also post on social media, so you can find us on Facebook primarily, but also like Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah.
And we try to post there just so people can see our work and be familiar with what we do, and you can reach out to us for estimates through that as well.
And I don't think I said your name at the top of the podcast. We just got into this thing.
Yes.
Rebecca Ruiz.
Rebecca Ruiz.
I was saying it Ruiz before, but you corrected me.
Yes.
And,
yes. Reese, like Reese's Pieces.
Yeah, but it's Ruiz.
Yes. Yes. My husband's Hispanic. He's from San Diego, but his dad's family's been in the country since before California was part of the U.S. Since it was Mexico, like they were one of the original families in the old town San Diego. And they haven't spoke Spanish in like 3 generations.
Wow, really?
So they just, just kind of adopted, were Americanized. They, that side of the family.
They love the country.
Yes.
That's so nice.
They do. It's fine. I joke because that side of his family has been American since longer than my family. So
that's funny.
Yeah. So yeah, it is. My husband does speak Spanish, but he learned it in school. His dad doesn't speak any Spanish. None of that side of the family does. And so I tell people they say Reese, I say Reese, but it's
Ruiz.
Everyone wants to go Ruiz.
Yeah, Ruiz.
Yes.
It's exotic.
Yes. Or the Southerners like to go Ruiz.
Southerners. Well, there you go. As always, in the description, you're going to find all the things, the information, the websites, and all that fun stuff. SuperiorWashingServices.com is the place to go. If you got some value out of this, please share it at mmtbp.com, mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast.com, truncated down to mmtbp.com. Man, hour and a half, Rebecca.
That was a long conversation. It was fun.
Yeah.
I always enjoy talking with you.
Thank you. Likewise.